morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we're going to be looking at a new Entei, which is going to be coming out in Sun and Moon 11A Remix Bout. So, Entei then. Shout out to the lovely David Hockman and the lovely Antoine Boulet, who both provided me with translations of this card, because they are both lovely people. And given that they both provided me with the same translation, probably fair to say it's accurate. If we look at the basics here, starting off, it's got 130 HP. 130 HP is great. There's a whole bunch of Pokemon out there like Buzzwole that naturally hit 120. You survive. Yay! Retreat cost of 2, kind of annoying. We do have the new Beware that will reduce your retreat cost by 2 when it's on the bench. So, it's not impossible. If you're playing Beware, it's not a bad retreat cost to have. Cool. Weakness to water, it's honestly alright. Water decks just aren't that great at the moment. If they ever become really good, Articuno will be running through you nice and easily, and there's still a whole bunch of Quagsire decks running around here and there, but it's really not the type right now, so I just wouldn't worry your pretty little heads about it. Think we're doing alright. And being a fire type is good. It means you can use Welder to accelerate energy. It means that you can use stuff like Fire Crystal and Fiery Flint to get that energy out in order to attach it. And it means you're hitting weakness on stuff like Celebi and Venusaur, the vast majority of grass Pokemon, and stuff like Lucario and Melmetal, the vast majority of metal Pokemon. So generally speaking, you are hitting 2 entire typings for weakness here, and that's got to be a good thing. But what does it actually do? Well, the first attack here is the main one, the one with which we are primarily concerned. And for 1 fire, 1 colourless energy, it does 30 damage, which is fine. But if one of your Pokemon was knocked out by damage from an attack during your opponent's last turn, you do 120 damage. Yeah, remember how I talked about the 120-130 thing at the beginning of the video? I mentioned it in a lot of videos because 120-130 is one of the key differentiating points in the game at the moment. There are a lot of Pokemon that do 120 and a lot of Pokemon that have 130 or 120. And frankly, at the moment, we really want to have 130 and do 130. Good on the first point. Not so good on the second point. Because the fact of the matter is, 120 is going to get a whole bunch of Pokemon. If you're up against something like a Zapdos, it's going down. Something like a Blacephalon, going down. Something like a Volcanion, going down. But Buzzwole's not going down. And Granbull's not going down. And actually, there are a whole bunch of Pokemon out there that won't be going down here. Now, if you're hitting for weakness, if you're not against a tag Team GX, you're generally good. There are a few things like Metagross running around, although that will have rotated by the time this comes out, that have 250, so they'll survive. But outside of that, you're pretty good. Now, to be fair, Metal Pokemon can use stuff like Lucario and Melmetal to reduce damage done by 30. And let's not forget they've also got Metal Core Barrier, which will reduce damage done by 70, though will only last for 1 turn, essentially. And there's the Alolan Dug Trio that reduces damage done by 10. So, if you can stack all of this kind of stuff up, you might be able to take a hit, and you're fine. But generally, you're getting them. When we move on to Tag Team GXs, however, it's a different story. Lucario and Melmetal's got 260. Celebi and Venusaur's got 270. The newly revealed Venusaur and Snivy, I did a video about it, I'll pop a link in the description. It's got 270. Well, you're doing 240 with weakness. And this is in a post-choice band, post-Professor Kukui world. So it's not like you're just adding this damage nice and easily. You are basically just accepting the fact that you're not getting KOs on them. And I know it's a non-GX, and I know you're only paying 2 energy to do this, but I've still got to look at this and go, well, hang on a second. Really? I'm not getting a KO on them? Because this isn't just some you can do it whenever you gosh darn well feel like it attack. This is reserved for when you have a Pokemon KO'd by damage the previous turn. Incidentally, stuff like Poison and Shrine of Punishment will kick in between turns, and it's got to be KO'd by damage. So something like a Rampardos, for instance, which just gets an automatic KO on a basic Pokemon with Wild Crash, that is not knocking out by damage, so it will not activate this. It's very much like Terrakion. I mean, look, we've had other Pokemon in the past that have had these revenge-style attacks. I mean, Marshadow and Machamp have one right now. But I will always want to just use Terrakion as the example, because Terrakion's my boy. Terrakion got me to Worlds. You don't forget something like that. You give love to something like that. So frankly, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, it's alright. But it's not the easiest attack to get going, and when you do get it going, it doesn't quite do as much as you might like. Now, in terms of the energy cost, we are fine here. We got Welder. So you play a Welder and you're just paying it in one go. One Welder, boom, done. And you can even put your energy attachment for the turn somewhere else. So in that regard, I do really like it. It's easy to use, and it is a basic Pokemon. It is an easy-to-use basic Pokemon that has a decent attack. The thing is, Fire decks have had a lot of good Pokemon lately. And we need to ask the question, are we going to play this over other Pokemon? Because let's take something like Volcanion. Volcanion sees a lot of play in Reshiram and Charizard decks at the moment. And to be clear, I don't think you're ever playing Entei on its own. It needs to be kind of a backup support Pokemon, an alternate attacker, a non-GX attacker, a situational attacker, phrase it how you will, in a different deck. And for 2 energy, that does 110 if you've got at least 4 fire energy in play. And again, it's a basic Pokemon that does it for 2 energy. Now, that won't get Blacephalon and it won't get opposing Volcanion, so doing that extra 10 damage is relevant, but you'll still get a whole bunch of stuff like Zapdos, you'll still get a whole bunch of stuff like Jirachi. You can do it whether you had a Pokemon KO'd the previous turn or not, and you've got the ridiculous Flare Starter attack. And we do see a bunch of people, we saw it at the International Championships this past weekend, playing for Volcanion. I mean, there were players that were literally, and players doing really well, incidentally, that were just playing for Volcanion, free Reshiram and Charizard, because they wanted the Volcanion for Flare Starter. If you go second, you get to search your deck for free fire energy and attach them in any way that you like. That's ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. That is a great attack. So, frankly, yeah. Are you going to play this over Volcanion? And look, you might really want to be able to get the KO on an opposing Volcanion, or you might really want to get a KO on non-GX Blacephalon or other 120 HP Pokemon, and in that case, yes, you are doing an extra 10, and the extra 10 can be relevant, but that's all you're really doing here. And let's not forget that some people are playing Arcanine, and Arcanine here has 140 and can do up to 190, or can do 120. Okay, it's for 1 extra energy, but you get to attach 2 energy from your discard to one of your Pokemon, your bench Pokemon. And Welder and energy attachment for the turn will pay that. I do see an advantage over Arcanine because it's a basic. And against Volcanion, you're doing 10 more while having 10 extra HP. But Volcanion's first attack is so good. So look, yes, there are reasons to play Entei, and it does have specific, clear, obvious advantages over the other non-GX fire Pokemon. But are they really good enough to remove those other Pokemon? For some people they will be, but for some people they won't. Now, as for the second attack here, don't get excited. Free energy 100, no. Just no. It's not good enough. We can do better. I mean, it's not doing as much as the first attack after a KO. And it's just not KOing enough stuff, if I'm honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. Look, there will be turns where you play a Welder attached for the turn, yay, and you're off and rolling. It will work at times, and you'll use it if you play the card, but it is not a reason to play the card. But the first attack is, and I do see this being teched into some fire decks. It is a better attacker than Volcanion. It is easier to tech in than Arcanine. It's just a little bit awkward. So I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. I think it's going to see a bit of play in a bunch of decks, but I do not think it's going to be an autoplay in a bunch of decks. But I'd like to know what you think about it, so please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk about games that don't even have Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.